Bring this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This year, I should announce, and I guess it's true, that President Mark Mills and Vice President Larry Mosier will not be here tonight, so in attendance, so I, Mike Nichols, the secretary, will be running tonight's meeting. We do have a quorum, we talked about that. Miranda, could you give us a roll call, please?
Mark Mills, Larry Mosier, Mike Nichols,
Here.
Joe Stevens,
Here.
Isaac Chavez,
Present.
Joseph Bookwalter,
Here.
and Greg Patchett.
Next on the agenda here is the minutes. We talked earlier before the rest of you guys got here, and we can review the minutes. However, we can't approve them because there's not enough people here that were at those minutes. So I don't know what we can do in that case, Don.
Motion to table minutes from June 26.
Do you have to second that? Just motion, just table it?
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay, that sounds good. And moving to the next thing, it says, public hearing, CPC 2024-05. Don, like to make the presentation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Before we get into the staff report for this applicant, Gary Crum, GL Crum Properties LLC, for the newest members of the Plan Commission, this property is zoned B residential now because of the new zoning map. And this property was actually brought before the Plan Commission when we did some rezoning, because when we did the new zoning map, we pretty much struck everything as B residential as was required by the Plan Commission, or the comprehensive plan, excuse me. And so some properties got swept up in the moment and got changed. Well, this property did not change. When the old zoning was in place, it was B residential. And so the council decided not to automatically change this to a general business status, that the owners of the property should do that. And so tonight, we're here to talk about a rezoning of this property. The applicant is Gary Crum, GL Crum Properties LLC, 1313 North County Road 250 East in Frankfort. The request of initial rezoning of 1602 Goder Drive from B residential to general business to allow for an additional self-service storage unit. So let me stop there and say this property would be a non-conforming use right now because it's not allowed to be in a B residential district. And for Mr. Crum to be able to add to his non-conforming status, it's not allowed to do that. He has to bring it into conformance, if that's the proper terminology. And that's what we're going to try to do here this evening by asking you to rezone the lot from B residential to general business. The petition site is located at 1602 Goder Drive in the Marycrest PTSWSE 2-21-1W 3021C. There are 5 criteria which the Plan Commission and the Frankfort City Council should pay reasonable regard to in the evaluation of a rezoning request as specified in Section 20101C of the Unified Development Ordinance. This petition is evaluated in accordance with the below criteria. And I also want to say that Mr. and Mrs. Crum are here present this evening in case you have any questions after the recommendation here by these findings. 1, the most recently adopted comprehensive plan. This rezone from B residential to general business is referenced generally in the section Growth Management on page 13 of the 2035 comprehensive plan under general business. This land use category includes areas for general business uses to meet the needs of a regional market. They should be located along major transportation routes away from residential areas. In Frankfort, this land use is primarily located east of downtown along Washington Avenue and in areas along the former railroad corridors in northwest Frankfort. They should be landscaped and screened from adjacent residential areas to the extent possible, and I believe it is not in conflict with the 2035 comprehensive plan. 2, the current conditions and the character of structure and uses in each district. The current condition of the petition site are mostly single-family residentials. There is a church to the west of the property, and Mr. Crum, Gary, is trying to purchase land in front of his property from the church to the north side of Washington Avenue. The zoning is general business where several businesses are located. 3, the most desirable use for which the land in each district is adapted. While the neighboring properties on Goder Drive are mostly single family, this self-service storage was built in 1980. The petitioner would like to build a third self-storage building, but cannot on this property, as this property is considered a non-conforming use. Structure cannot be expanded without a proper approval. And according to the Unified Development Ordinance, Section 901, non-conforming uses of land and or structure reads, a non-conforming use of land or structure or both in combination may be continued but shall not be extended, expanded, or changed unless to a conforming use, except as specified herein or as permitted by the Board of Zoning Appeals in accordance with the provisions of this ordinance. By changing the zoning to general business, Gary can go before the Board of Zoning Appeals and ask for a special exception to make this conforming use. It will be the most desirable use for the district. 4, the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction. The surrounding uses are mixed residential and general business uses. 5, responsible development and growth. The proposed rezoning is not going against the 2035 comprehensive plan. This self-storage was built in 1980 and has been located on this lot since. Gary will add a new structure along with a small retention pond that has been approved by the Clinton County Drainage Board. Gary has told me today that the potential sale of the property in front of him that's owned by the church is coming to fruition, that it's going to happen. I don't think it's quite yet, but those are questions that you can ask Mr. Crum after the recommendation. The staff recommends to favorably certify this proposed plan for rezoning of the property at 1602 Goder Drive from B residential to general business to the City Council. The draft that the Plan Commission Board forwards to the City Council, regardless of positive, negative, or neutral recommendation, should be forwarded complete and ready for adoption as an ordinance and general concept. The staff report was written by myself, Don Stock, providing administrative service on behalf of the City Plan Commission. And I'm ready for questions if you want questions from me or to Mr. Crum, who's here to answer.
Don, this is a public hearing, correct?
That's right.
So that if anybody wants to speak, we need to tell them to sign up, or?
They can sign up if they have a pro or con, yes.
So did anybody sign up?
I don't believe anybody signed
I
up.
saw 2 names on there when I walked.
I think that's for the next business of RISI 7.
Okay, thank you.
Why doesn't the area now require a retention pond already? Is it with the addition of a third structure because the area is expanding?
Mr. Crum, you want to come up and address that?
Good question. So the area, Dan Sheets, our local surveyor, even though we're not, like, the footprint isn't changing, it would be on the existing stone, so it wouldn't change the infiltration or runoff. He thought it was a good idea to expand that to make sure that everything is, it would be improved by, if nothing happens, the pond itself would collect even more and be a more conducive environment for that. I don't know if I answered your question or not. It's a stone lot, and he felt like there wasn't going to be any more potential runoff with that, with an impervious surface. But to be extra sure and to improve everything, we would go to the extra mile of putting the detention pond in.
Right. And pending the purchase of the sale from the church, would you guys be looking to add additional entryways?
Okay, so as of Friday, we did close on, we have a wonderful relationship with the church. They use it for parking. They're just great neighbors. And that particular church, like many, attendance things have changed a lot since COVID. So they were more than happy to work with us on that, and that's been over a year process. And we closed on that property on Friday.
You essentially have this triangle. I mean, I don't know, what did you add?
So if you were just
Purchase of it.
if I can.
Here, Gary.
So if you just look directly north of the existing property lines, they run basically straight north. Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
So they're keeping what's directly in front of their church to Washington Avenue.
Correct.
Gotcha, okay, cool.
So that was it's a separate parcel and been surveyed.
So Gary, then the retention pond would presumably be in the new purchase property?
It would be directly west of the two existing buildings. There's a 20-inch tile that runs. Actually, it doesn't go all the way to Washington Avenue because it's crushed. But it is the sewer maintenance has run cameras up through that, and it's a functioning 20-inch running on the existing property south. And that would be utilized in concert with, and this design was something that Dan worked with us, and it's been an extensive engineering process. Correct.
You're almost immediately, or pretty soon, you plan on putting a third storage unit? Where will that be?
We would like, if all goes well, it's been a long process. We're hoping later this year.
And where would it go, on the new property?
It actually, the footprint of everything will be on the existing ground. So what we had purchased north just recently, that would be undisturbed.
But to be correct, we're just voting on the current turquoise property right now. We're not worried about that.
That's correct.
Well, I noticed in section 2 that it said on the north side of Washington Avenue. Did you actually mean on the south side of Washington Avenue?
I'm sorry.
In paragraph 2, it said on the north side of Washington Avenue. Should that be actually on the south side of Washington Avenue?
Did I miss?
Nope, that's me. That's me, Mr. Crum. No, what I'm saying is on the north side of Washington Avenue, that's all zone general business. So what I wanted to do is be able to tell you that by putting this lot to general business, it's not going to be out there all by itself.
Okay.
It's general business on the other side, on the north side of Washington Avenue.
Want to make sure it wasn't the property was purchased.
I'm going to add real quick that these are the plans that Gary has for his building. And they actually are changed a little bit now because the new structure that he was going to put in was only going to be on one side. The storage units were only going to be on the gravel side facing south. But now that he's purchased the ground in front of this, it now allows him to put in storage units on both sides of the barn because he owns the property in front of him now. Before he was running into, he had to be, his offsets had to be 5 feet off that side. But now that he owns the property, it allows him to lay down a little more gravel and now be able to use both sides of the building for storage. When that came to me this morning, I'm like, he's got to have the new property because there's no way he could be putting storage on this north side of his building. So I want to clear that up a little bit to make sure that everybody understands that the building that'll be going on will be proper as far as back sets off of the side property line.
Anybody else have any discussion? Is there anybody from the public that has any discussion about this? Okay, I guess we'll close the discussion and we need a motion.
I will motion to approve docket 2024-05 to move 1602 Goder Drive from B residential to general business.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mike Nichols,
Aye.
Joe Stevens,
Aye.
Isaac Chavez,
Aye.
Joseph Bookwalter.
Aye.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much. So Gary, your next step is, maybe we can go to the BZA. That'll be after the council meeting. This will now go to the council meeting for their approval to rezone. This is just a recommendation from the Plan Commission. They're not allowed to rezone, but they do recommend the rezone to the committee or to the city council, and we'll have it on their agenda on the 9th.
Thank you.
Like other businesses next, Reese 7 subdivision.
Yeah, as you can see, all members are present. Little Rocky, Big Rocky, Charna Virtue, who is now kind of overseeing the project, she's going to come up and talk to you a little bit. And here's the reason why we're here tonight. 2 months ago, I came to the Plan Commission and asked you to extend the phase 1 of the subdivision to another 60 days to give us an opportunity to try to continue progress on this subdivision. The Plan Commission allowed the extension for the ability to sell the property and then for that property owner to come before you and tell you why they need the extension. Well, the property didn't get sold. The property is still in the hands of the Webbers, and Charna Virtue is moving the property forward. And I'm asking her to come up and talk to you about the progress of what's going on so that you will at least reconsider and give the Webbers an opportunity to expand this phase 1 of their subdivision to at least the month of December. And so I'm going to have Charna come up and tell you all the things that are being completed and the direction that this subdivision is moving in.
Since the sale of the property did not come to fruition, the Webbers have decided they wanted to go ahead and finish the subdivision. So during that time, I have been working with Don, and we have gotten quite a bit done. The electric conduit is all in, and it's been taken care of. The light company is in the middle of processing, pulling all the electrical through. They started on that today. I was at the site today, and they were working on that. The road has been under contract now, and they should start on the road on the 3rd of September. So that's when they'll start bringing in the base of the road. It's my understanding from talking to E&B Paving that the engineer has been in the property and they have marked where the backside of the curbs go. So they're just, when they get done working in the city, E&B Paving will be finishing up with the city. They're going to start on this project right afterwards, since they're already here. It will take about 9 working days. So rain days are not included, holidays weekends not included, but it'll take about 9 days to finish that up. Then the engineer is ready to do the second phase, and we can work on the rest of the covenants and restrictions and get everything recorded. So we're right in line with getting everything completed by, I'm hoping, mid-September, but it may be the end of September by the time we get that done.
I know the property, at least from a lot point of view, has to be has to be platted, I think it's called, before you can sell it.
Yes.
Right. So when you're done in mid-September, October, or whenever this is, will it be able to be platted then? Or will you be able to sell lots, I guess is what I'm getting at.
It's my understanding that as soon as they finish the road, then the engineer would do the second plat. We have the first plat. We'll do the covenants and restrictions at that time and get everything recorded as soon as I get that back from the engineer.
So where we're at right now is we have the primary plat, and they are asking for an extension of time for that primary plat so that they can finish the roadways, finish the electrical, and the other utilities are already finished. But finish the roadways and the electrical so that they can then complete the secondary plat and get that before you all for approval and then get that recorded. So where we were before is that the primary plat was going to expire unless they finished up those things, the public utilities and the right-of-ways and things like that. And so now they have made the progress to get that accomplished. That part of it will be done toward the end of September, it sounds like, and then they will get the secondary plat in front of you. So what needs to happen if you want to move forward with this and continue the progress is that we would need to give them an extension of the primary plat so that they can then get the secondary plat in front of you for approval and get this all accomplished.
Correct. Thank you.
So it's an extension of the primary that we're looking at.
Correct. And previous to now, we had given one extension of 6 months for the primary plat, and then you had given an extension through today to try and get it sold. And the sale did not go through, so now they have decided that they are going to actually get the project completed on their own, and they have in fact made progress to that point. Previous to now, there wasn't progress made, and that's why you all had decided that you were going to give the 6 months and then you were going to terminate the primary plat. If the Plan Commission doesn't give an extension at this point, they would have to get it re-engineered and do the primary plat again, which would be pretty costly and would make it so that this project probably would not get finished. So,
Are you asking, I hate to keep asking all the questions.
It's okay.
Are you asking for a specific time? In other words, do you want 3 months, 6 months? Of course, we're just talking about getting this primary plat.
you had asked for December, correct? Through December?
We'd like for it to be extended to the end of December, just in case the secondary takes a little longer than necessary to get into the hands of the Plan Commission. A lot of our challenges that we have to bring before you is the ability to put it in the paper as a hearing. Since the paper is only a once-a-week paper, it causes a lot of early development and getting all this stuff put together so it can come to you at the end of the month. And it's pretty challenging. So we would like for you to extend it to December so that in case they don't get here in September and they come here in October, we still have a couple months to get it all completed and maybe even a home at least started on it. Home cannot be built on it until after it's been recorded and the city has accepted it as a subdivision.
The secondary plat has been
Secondary
recorded.
plat. And so that's, we're working, we're actually gonna try to meet up with the engineering group somewhere in the next week or so to try to get them starting on the secondary plot for this subdivision.
Because the secondary has to be approved before they can sell property.
That's exactly right.
Correct.
Has to be recorded in,
Recorded,
yep,
Something like December 31st, what you're looking for.
yep.
So is this a 90-day extension or a 60-day for the secondary?
October, November, December. So we're looking at
No,
about a
you-
90-day extension.
The problem is the engineering, because I don't have a timeline yet from the engineer to tell me how much time it's going to take to put that secondary together. So we're hoping that he can get it done within just a couple of weeks, but depends on his schedule.
What we're talking about is the primary.
It would be an extension of the primary in order for the secondary to be provided and in front of you all, the primary can't be expired. So you would have to extend the primary to give them enough time to get the engineer to get the secondary prepared so that it could come before you and then you all could approve it and it could be recorded and then the lots could start to be sold. So that's what you're looking at today.
Worst case scenario, what happens if you don't get it done by December 31?
Well, if you don't get it done by December 31st, you all could agree to give it further extension, although there has already been a number of extensions. So you guys can, but yeah. So if they don't get it done by the 31st, then either your choices as the plan commission would be to give it additional extension. You know, if they said, well, we've talked to the engineer, it's going to be another month, we give it another 30-day extension. Or you could say, no more extensions, we're done. And then what they would have to do is they would have to get the engineer back out there and they would have to redo that primary plat and kind of start from scratch.
They can re-extend it if it just were to fall through, you just never know.
Sure. Yep. They could, up to you guys, though. You guys would have to decide that.
Do you have anything else to add?
Anybody else got any questions? Would like to make a motion?
I will motion to extend the Rissy 7 subdivision extension to 90 days.
90 days or is it?
Yeah, 90 days, so this is what, August?
Well, so 30 would be September,
September,
October, November. That would only go to the end of November.
We need 120 days then, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I will take back my motion and amend it to 120 days.
Yes.
I was trying to math in my head.
Yeah, well, obviously, I couldn't do that either.
Same thing, so.
Guilty, I just think 90.
Okay.
Roll call.
We got a second?
Yeah, Joe.
Joe, the second.
All right, Mike Nichols.
Aye.
Joe Stevens.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Joseph Bookwalter.
Alrighty.
Hey, we're very thankful for that. I'm pretty sure that we're going to be in really, really good shape by December 31st. And as needed by the comprehensive plan of 2035, where we need a lot of homes, to add additional 13 lots will mean a lot. And I know that the Webbers are thankful for your extension too.
Thanks, guys. Okay, Don, you want to?
Yep, we'll wrap it up with the UDO. We're not here to make any type of a vote on this. What we're here to talk about is to make sure that the wording is kind of in the proper format. I'm going to allow Alicia to talk to you about this. We're doing fences and political signs. The political signs were the most important one because of the fact that the city had only 30 days prior to, but we also came across some challenges with the fences, being the fact that a fence is considered an accessory structure. An accessory structure has to be 10 foot apart from another accessory structure. So it causes us to do both of these. So I'll let Alicia talk to you about this.
So essentially with the fence one, what we're doing is we're clarifying that fences are different than other accessory structures in the sense that you could have a fence that meets up with your garage or something like that. As it stood, a fence would have had to have been 10 feet away from any other accessory structure. So you couldn't have like a separate garage and then have a fence, around your backyard or anything like that. Or if you had a pool, it would have to be 10 feet away from that. And so this allows you to kind of put the fence up against, other structures, which makes sense because fences usually are up against other structures. So it just eliminates that, it clarifies that to eliminate that 10-foot setback. So that's with the fences. Are there any questions about that one that I can answer?
We're discussing these UDOs, Don. That's right.
Yep.
Only tonight.
Yes.
The plan is to bring them to you next month. We have to get them, we have to do a hearing to let public know that we're making these amendments. We didn't get that accomplished for this meeting, so we're gonna discuss it to make sure that it's worded the proper for you to okay it at the next meeting.
So we can't approve this tonight. We can talk about the language, we can make changes to the language and discuss it and things like that, but we can't make any approvals of this tonight. That will have to come at the next meeting.
After, this is a UDO type of question. After we have the next meeting and we approve, let's say we approve these, does that have to go to the city council then?
Correct. Yes, and then the city council has the option to take action, to take no action, or to either take positive action or negative action, approve or deny, or take no action. After 90 days, it would become law if they take no action. So they have 90 days to do something with it.
We're not the final authority on it.
Correct.
You're just recommending the changes, right? Is that
Yes,
right?
yes. Yeah, you're recommending the changes to them. We're having the public hearing here at this level, and then when it goes to the council, if they approve it, it automatically becomes part of the UDO, and they don't have to take any additional steps at that point. So you do kind of all the legwork at the city plan level, and then it goes up to the council. Any other questions on the fences or anything? So then the second one is the sign ordinance, and this is particular to political signs. The state statute provides for 60 days, and the county's ordinance provides for 60 days, and the city's was 30 days, and that was causing a lot of grief because, people could put signs in the county at 60 days, but then they couldn't in the city until 30 days, and it just got really confusing. So the idea here is that we would match what the state statute says, and we would match what the county ordinance says so that we're all kind of uniform in Clinton County, and we would just have the signs up 60 days before the primary election or general election, or if there's a referendum, and then the signs have to be removed not later than 6 days after the election, and that's the same with the county and the state.
So we're not really that big of a city, and I do understand the difference of 60 days versus 30 days, why they would limit that. How do we align with other cities? Are we like maybe the only one around this area?
I think we are the only one, yeah.
I just
I
wasn't,
haven't surveyed them, so I can't say that, but most of the time, since the state statute says 60 days, most communities go with what the state statute says, and
Right.
they choose 60 days. You can be more strict, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense to do that since they can be out in the county. So, that we had a couple of people who out in the county, their neighbor had a sign, and then they couldn't have a sign because it was in city limits. So it just makes it uniform. But I think on the whole, most places have 60 days, but I haven't done a survey to actually verify that. That's just anecdotal.
it does sound more uniform. I think it should be less days, but
It shouldn't even be political. I don't think we should. And I've ran. I hated that part.
I personally see they roll for 30 days as is, but that's, I'm new here, so.
all right.
I think the reason that we are bringing it before you to change it is because we had a ton of enforcement actions last election, a lot more than normal, and it just was extra stress on the city's resources to fight about political signs. And so it just seemed like it was, last election particularly, seemed like it was very, there were just a lot of sign calls. More than normal, I would say, and I anticipate with this being a presidential year that that's going to be similar.
When is this, I'm sorry. I
Go
did
ahead.
not mean to
No, you're
interrupt.
fine.
When is this coming before us?
It'll be next month. This won't actually, first of all, it'll be next month. I wanted it to be this month so that we could make this go into play for this coming election. It's not going to happen.
It could happen if we got it in front of the city for September, and then in the very October meeting, we'd get a little bit extra over the 30 days, I think, but yeah, we wouldn't have it for the 60,
Yeah.
but.
State statute basically says that once you get within 60 days, you don't have any jurisdiction on telling somebody what type of political signs they're going to have in their yard. And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't that even go into subdivisions that have,
HOAs and everything.
that you just can't, that's the way it is. So
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. The other thing is, when it says just a city election, not an issue about 30 days because it's just a city election. But when you get into a countywide or a federal election, and then all of a sudden you can have them just outside of Frankfurt, but you can't have them inside of Frankfurt, then that causes all kinds of headaches and challenges.
I also think that because of the wording of the state statute, if we were to get challenged on this sign ordinance, I don't know that we would win as it stands. I think that they would have a pretty strong case that we wouldn't be able to regulate it for the 30 days. We haven't been challenged thus far, but I mean, we've had people who have like independently said, I think this is ridiculous, but we haven't been challenged in court. But if we were, I don't know that we would be able to enforce it. So,
Those signs don't last more than 60 days. They're cheap, crappy signs.
Yeah.
Frankfurt, Indiana, they get snow, rain, and wind
Yeah.
all the time.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Some people may not want to put them in their yards 60 days. We may not have a huge influx, but this would just align again with state statute, which is more my concern than anything else.
This would just allow somebody to put it out there 60
Uh-huh.
days. They wouldn't have to till 30 or whenever they
No.
wanted.
No, I could refuse, and I do refuse to put signs in my yard.
But
So,
At the same time, if we were to do a change like this,
Mhm.
it would reduce our law enforcement's already got enough on their hands.
Mhm.
We could actually, if just accepting this.
Yeah.
yeah,
goes to
Yeah.
Dawn.
it was Dawn. Dawn was the one that was.
That's right.
Dawn
I'm
was
saying
the one
Don
that
already
was.
has enough
Yeah.
going on his plate.
I will say
So-
the last election, and I'm on the election board too, so I get sign calls from the city, and then I get sign calls from the election board. And from an election board standpoint, we don't really do anything unless they don't comply with the state statute of what has to be on the sign. But I felt like I was getting calls like every other day about the signs because the people were just really upset about it last election, particularly. So, yeah.
I personally wouldn't put mine out in 60 days. But, if it's going to stop a lot of confusion, I would say we should go ahead and agree with it, in my opinion.
So everybody's good with the wording of it is basically what we want to do tonight.
Yeah.
And so that way, when we write it up, it's all in the direction that you're willing to go.
And then next month, we'll have the public hearing on it, and we'll have it properly advertised and all of that good stuff so that we can make the change, and then it can go in front of the council. Yeah. Yep.
Anything else, Don?
I do. I just want to tell you that next month is also going to be a very busy month. If everything is going per plan as we believe it is, Meadowbrook will be coming to you, Phase 1. Secondary will be coming to you, along with the potential of bonding, because they're not going to be quite done with everything. I just got a letter today stating that they think the only thing that they'll not get accomplished in the Phase 1 of Meadowbrook will be seeding the ground. And so they'll have to bond that in the first phase. So you'll only be getting Phase 1 of potentially 3 different phases in the Meadowbrook subdivision. But once you pass, and secondaries can be done in phases. So once you pass that, if you do pass it, then it allows them to start putting homes on their lots. They too would like to start building in October. So that's why we're hoping to bring it to you in September. You may or may not get something from RISI 7 also in there, and then you will now be getting the UDO amendments. And then Banderas will be coming in, talking to you about their signage. What's happened out there is they actually have 2 new developers that are coming into the Banderas project, and what they're going to be bringing will need to be advertised on their sign. And the sign that they were going to present to you tonight does not equal to what they normally, how they advertise their business. So they withdrew it tonight, and we'll be bringing it to you next month.
And Don, correct me if I'm wrong, but with a subdivision plat, if they follow all of the requirements of our subdivision ordinance, I believe that the Plan Commission is required to approve of that, that plat. So there isn't discretion on that as far as approval, as long as they meet all of our subdivision standards.
Yeah, and then post bond for that didn't get accomplished. So if they didn't get, maybe they didn't get all the street paved in phase one, then they would have to bond that to make sure that it would get done if something happened to them between now and whenever,
Right.
so the city could get that phase finished.
Correct. Yep.
I thought I remember the whole operation being effectively bonded because of the money that was getting chipped in by.
You know, that's a great point. It's kind of that way with ready money, but still, they have to do a performance bond. And then when they finish, they get it all completed, they still have to do a bond that states that everything will be
The
taken care of
maintenance bond, yeah.
for a period of time afterwards.
Usually 3 years. The maintenance bond is usually for 3 years. And then the performance bond is just to make sure that they actually do what they were supposed to do. They're required per their contract with the city to do a performance bond for the entire amount of the public funds because they're required to do that through READY. They have to have that. And then any piece that they don't get done will have to have a bond to make sure that that does get done. And especially with public grants, they make us have that, whether we want to or not, so.
If you've been out there, the streets are now cut. They are now gravelled. They're getting ready to start putting their asphalt in, and their curbs will be coming very, very soon. So it's starting to look like a development. And now then, you know, they've been begging me to put a house on there, and I said, nope, you can't. I can't let you do it until we get secondary. I've had at least the last 2 months of, come on, let's get, nope, can't. I'm not letting you do it. So,
Good job, Don.
yeah. So that's all that I have. Just be ready for what could be maybe a busy end of the year.
Anybody else got anything?
Motion to adjourn.
Approved? Oh,
Who seconded that officially? You did, okay. All right.
Good work.
good job, okay. Do you have to sign anything tonight?
Yes, but it's upstairs, so.
It's upstairs.
We all need to.
You want me to go get it?
No, that's okay, I'll grab it. I think so.
We all have to sign, right?
You're going to turn the TV off?
You don't want to be on?
They've had enough of me.